Welcome back for, well, I'm going to call this a part 2 of my vanity card. Now, I can say this is the second and last one talking about how Kelly and Company came to be. But we know that if you follow the show in any way, what we say might be a minute turns into 5. Last time I was explaining to you that John Melville, our VP of production at the time, back in 2016, asked me to sit down with him at the beginning of April, this would be, to have a chat about something. We went out for lunch. And the discussion that David Errington, our president, CEO, and him had, and others, the board, was to launch a second show. At the time, the morning show was really being taken by storm. People seemed to like what was happening and thought it was a good idea. John felt we should hit while the iron's hot and maybe move into an afternoon show. Or maybe have me switch from television to co-hosting with Mike Ross. As part of the morning show team. At that time, it was revolving hosts on the morning show team. Well, I told him, for my purposes, commuting back and forth from London, Ontario to Toronto, until things would change, until we'd see how things would land, I would come in Monday morning, do the show in the afternoon, and leave after the show Fridays. That's really how we flushed things out to be at the time. And that was my practice. That's what I knew. That's how I was handling things, working from, London, Ontario, 3 days a week. This would mean being in a studio 5 days a week. 5, count them. But folks, it meant living out a dream that I had had since I was a little boy. When I first discovered radio, would tour all the radio stations in London, Ontario. I wanted it. It was something so cool to me. Was I trained in talk radio? No, that's journalism. But I certainly felt I could grab it, and I knew what I'd want to do with it. So in April, I was asked, what do you want to do? What would you be interested? You tell us. I had to think about it. I actually remember going off to Nunavut to shoot A Taste of Nunavut, which you can find from our YouTube page. Search it out. Wonderful doc that I had the privilege of doing. We shot that in May, and I think that helped me along the way as I had that time being away from Toronto, London, to think about things. And realizing this was an opportunity to fulfill a dream. So I gave thumbs up to John in June. And we started the haul of putting the show together. I worked with our former employee, Kevin Philip-Apilé, and Matt Agnew to start lining up what this show would look like for 2 hours every day. And what mandate we were given by the board, David Errington and John Melville. Lifestyle, health, leisure, entertainment. Now, I like to cut up and have a lot of fun. I was told, yeah, that's nice. We can use that on the show. But the priority were those other categories. So on October 31st, 2016, we launched Kelly and Company in the afternoons. And it was amazing. My first guest, as a matter of fact, was my mentor, Jerry Howarth, former broadcaster for the Toronto Blue Jays. And then a second guest we had on, the former president CEO of the CNIB, John Rafferty. I thought that started us off well. And that was even before we got into our tremendous lineup of contributors. I've got more to talk about as to how those earlier days and kind of the show that you see now was originally built into its foundation. How we grew that foundation, started the show, and where it is now. We'll talk some more about it on the next Vanity Card.